What if law is not natural? What if justice is not universal? And what if the state exists not because of morality, but because of agreement? These aren't modern questions. They were first asked 2,500 years ago by a group of radical thinkers known as the Sophists. Let's travel back to the 5th century BCE, the most turbulent and transformative period in ancient Greek history. This was an era of epic clashes. It was a time of war, with Persian absolutism pitted against Greek autonomy, and the rigid military oligarchy of Sparta locked in a struggle with the burgeoning democracy of Athens. This constant conflict bred instability, and instability in turn sparked new ways of thinking about the world. Philosophy, which had once been preoccupied with the mysteries of nature and the cosmos, turned its gaze inward towards the messy, complex world of human society and politics. And at the heart of this intellectual revolution were the Sophists. Who were they? Imagine them as the first professional consultants or university professors. They were traveling teachers, experts who offered their knowledge for a fee. And what did they teach? The arts of success in a democratic society, rhetoric, the power of persuasive speaking, debate, the skill of winning an argument, and political science, the practical knowledge of how to gain and manage power. This immediately set them apart from thinkers like Socrates, who famously taught for free and claimed to know nothing. The Sophists weren't interested in abstract eternal truths. Their approach was relentless and practical, focused on what works here and now. This pragmatism led them to challenge the very foundations of Greek thought, sparking a debate that still echoes today, a debate between nature and convention. For earlier Greek thinkers, nature, or science, represented the fundamental order of the universe. It was the source of universal truths and unchanging principles. They believed that just as the sun rises and sets according to natural laws, human laws and justice were also rooted in the same eternal nature. They were discovered, not invented. The Sophists looked at the world around them and said, no. They argued that law, or nomos, is entirely a human creation. It's a product of society, an agreement made by people living together. It's not universal. It changes from city to city, from culture to culture. The brilliant sophist Protagoras captured this idea in one of his most famous phrases in philosophy. Man is the measure of all things. What does that mean? It means that truth isn't absolute. It's relative to the individual or the society that we see it. Justice, therefore, isn't some divine or natural concept. It's whatever a particular community agrees it should be. Their logic was simple and powerful. If law and justice were truly natural, they would be the same everywhere, just like fire burns the same way in Greece as it does in Persia. But they're not. Legal systems and moral codes vary dramatically. Therefore, law must be a matter of convention, social construction. This revolutionary idea extended to their view of the state itself. The Sophists argued that the state is not a natural institution ordained by God or nature. It's a contract. People, in their natural state, were vulnerable. So they voluntarily came together and agreed to form a state for mutual protection and security. They gave up some of their individual freedom in exchange for the state. This is one of the earliest formulations of what we now know as socialism, an idea that would later be central to the work of Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau. But the Sophists took their analysis a step further into much darker territory. If law is just an agreement, what enforces that agreement? Their answer was blunt: power. The Sophists raised the matches in a famous debate in Socrates, made the provocative claim that justice is nothing other than the interest of the strong. Think about that. What he's saying is that the people who hold power, the rulers, the elite, create the laws. And who do those laws serve? They serve the rulers themselves. Law, in this view, isn't about universal morality or fairness. It's a tool used by the powerful to maintain their control and protect their interests. This was a radical, even cynical, departure from the idealistic view of law as a reflection of divine order. Now let's fast forward 2,500 years and bring these ancient ideas into our modern world. Consider a country like Pakistan. In 1973, Pakistan adopted its constitution. This document is the supreme law of the land. It defines the rights of citizens, sets up the institutions of government, the parliament, the judiciary, the executive, and establishes the rule of law. But let's ask the sophist question. Is this law natural or conventional? Are the principles in our Constitution based on eternal, unchanging truths, or are they the result of political compromise, of human agreement at a specific point in time. The history of Pakistan provides a compelling case study. We've seen periods where the constitution, the supreme nomos, was set aside. Martial law was imposed in 1958, again in 1977, and a military takeover occurred in 1999. In these moments, raw power overrode the established constitutional law. Doesn't this perfectly illustrate the logic of Thrasymachus? The idea that justice is the interest of the stronger, that when push comes to shove, the will of the powerful can redefine what is legal and just. The established agreement was suspended, and a new order was imposed by force. And what about the ideas of Protagoras? Man is the measure of all things. Look at our media landscape today. Tune into any political talk show. What you often see isn't a search for objective fact, but a battle of competing narratives. Truth becomes a matter of opinion. Different political parties, different groups, push their own version of reality. Public perception is aggressively shaped and manipulated, because in the political arena, what people believe to be true often matters more than what is actually true. Isn't this Protagoras' world where truth is relative and reality is shaped by perception? Now, this isn't to say the Sophists were simply nihilists or villains. They were not completely wrong. They uncovered a powerful and inconvenient truth. Law and society are profoundly shaped by human needs, by power dynamics, and by cultural agreements. They forced us to be realistic about how politics actually works. But they also revealed a great danger. When morality is completely detached from law, when convention entirely eclipses nature, law risks becoming nothing more than a crude tool of power. Look at what happened to ancient Athens. After its golden age, it faced immense instability. The devastating Peloponnesian War, which Athens lost to Sparta in 404 BCE, left its democracy weakened. Internal corruption grew, and political factions tore the city-state apart. History seems to show that when the shared belief in fundamental principles erodes, when everything becomes a matter of convention and power, institutions begin to collapse. Does any of this sound familiar? Today, many nations, including Pakistan, face immense challenges. Intense political polarization that divides society, tension between key state institutions, constant media manipulation that fuels distrust, and a growing sense of public cynicism. It's worth asking, are we living in a new sophist age? An age where truth is equated with opinion. Justice is seen as purely a matter of political interest, and law is treated as a matter of convenience, to be followed or ignored depending on who is in power. This raises a critical question. If everything becomes relative, if there are no shared, fundamental principles to anchor us, how can a state possibly remain stable? How can a society function? The Sophists, by challenging the old certainties, changed political thought forever. They forced us to look at power and law with open eyes. But their central question remains terrifyingly alive today. Is law a reflection of a higher natural order? Or is it merely an agreement, a fragile contract held together by power? If justice truly depends on who is stronger, then what protects the weak, the marginalized, the voiceless? The future of any state, any democracy, ultimately depends on how it chooses to answer this ancient and urgent question. The Sophists asked the question, but they didn't have the final answer. In our next episode, we'll explore the powerful response from their greatest critic, Plato, and his ambitious attempt to build a city based not on convention, but on eternal justice. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more.